Here I am, here you are, we are one. Welcome to the Showkiss Army and welcome to the Psycho Circus for another episode of We Are One. Where in today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Paul Stanley giving us a rundown on his end of the road rig. So Paul Stanley did a recent interview with Guitar World where he was asked, what would you say your strengths are as a guitarist and what's your main setup on stage for the end of the road tour? To which Paul responded, I think that I've always managed to be the foundation and the core of what we build together. For example, in the past when we've tried to cutting back a basic track without me, once I put my guitar on, we usually find out that we have to recut it, because there's a swing to what I do. So I'm a big believer in the absolute necessity of a great rhythm guitar to not only hold this kind of music together, but to propel it forward. And propelling it forward doesn't necessarily mean being ahead of it. A great rhythm guitarist basically leans on the drums. You're closer to being on the backbeat than you are to being in front of it. What's your main setup on stage for the end of the road tour? Paul. I'm a dedicated Ibanez PS10 user. That's my signature model. That guitar, with a few diversions for different reasons along my history, has been my guitar of choice. I certainly collected a lot of vintage guitars at one point, and my PS10 was spec'd on some of those guitars. So it really is a classic guitar in many senses. In fact, if you were to put it in someone's hands and they weren't looking at it and just went basically on feel or sound, they would perhaps think it was a different guitar by a different company. As for amps, I've been using Engel for quite a while and I've had great success with them. They do some amps that aren't really my taste, that sound more like a jackhammer. But they also build some really classic, well-refined tube amps. Mine have been fine-tuned to how I like them, and in the best way, hearken to the sound of bands that I've loved over the years. So my guitar and amp are rooted in the classics. Whether or not they're actual classics, they're rooted in is moot. So that's Paul Stanley's setup for his end-of-the-road guitar rig. Paul talks about the importance of great rhythm guitar and the necessity for it, which he's done a lot of interviews about the need for a great rhythm guitar. I believe he did an interview with Ernie Ball talking about the fact that while Paul is able to do some lead, as you know, he's had to do that on certain Kiss tracks over the years, he has had to had the ability to play such great rhythm guitar to the point where some others, if he was to ask them to cover for him, that they might not be able to do it. So that's I believe that was something Paul said in that Ernie Ball interview that I'm sure you can look up and find. But Paul, running down his rig classic with that PS10, continues to use that PS10 and then Engel amps with a tube amps refined to the way Paul does it. So I'm sure you're not going to be able to walk in, go online and find the exact type of model Paul uses without his refinements. But I just wanted to give you guys an inside look at Paul's end of the road tour rig rundown. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching. May God bless you. And remember, God gave rock and roll to you.
God bless you all.